went to a concert at Boston College with my mother when I was in 5th grade, and I brought a book with me, Nancy Drew No. 3, The Bungalow Mystery, intending to read that. And when the concert started, I put the book down and began listening. And I remember Paddy Keenan played at that concert, and he's a well-known uilleann piper, and so he played both on the pipes and also on the low whistle. I particularly remember at first, maybe I'd seen the low whistle first, I don't know what order he did things in, but it was this big, silvery, mysterious sounding thing, and that kind of like got my attention. And it was just, I just became interested in the music from that. There are a lot of people who do Irish music who are not of Irish descent. It's become, I don't want to say like mainstream, but it has become much more mainstream, I think, than when I first started in the like mid-90s. But I feel like what I find helpful about this music is that you know, it's rooted in a particular like time and place and experience. And if you know anything about Irish history, it's kind of like a, you know, continuing like nightmare after nightmare after nightmare. So, you know, this, I feel like the music, if it comes from people who had all these kind of overwhelming experiences, there must be some kind of wisdom in that music about how to find one's way through. So, and I think because for me that is, you know, it is my background, so I know that I have family and ancestry that went through those experiences. It, you know, it does connect to me personally in that way. I guess I think of myself more as a musician than a historian. Even though I studied history in college, I think my interest in history was because of my interest in music. Also, my interest in history was more about like all the terrible things that have happened, feeling like just kind of like wanting to find some like answer for like, I don't know, the state of the world. So that doesn't exactly fit in, I suppose, with, you know, academic historians' approach to history. So I think over the years I've realized I'm not as much, into that. I also feel like I don't recall history in the sense of, dates and events and like, I remember dates and events, but not, I feel like I don't retain everything in the way that maybe it should if I was going to be an academic historian. Music is something where you're always hoping for the like perfect moment, and that it does happen sometimes. And say with Irish music, I would say either it's when you're playing, usually sometimes if you're playing with other people jamming or whatever, and I don't know, it's just one of those tunes that has a real like energy to it, and it's going and going and going, and it a lot of times with Irish music people kind of stomp their foot and so there's a kind of feeling of like one of my teachers had suggested once for a tune was like, it needs urgency, and I feel like just that feeling of like urgency is I don't know, something like incessant. That's like the perfect moment, I think, with like dance music, up-tempo pieces. The slower pieces, I can get to that moment, I guess, faster. Maybe because a lot of times the way they're played isn't necessarily as strict as with dance music. You can kind of vary the tempo and you're, varying the tune, which you do with the dance music too, but you can kind of get into it and move around in the piece. There aren't as many rules in a certain way. Yeah, you can have those moments, and I think that's what you're hoping for every time you play. And when it does happen, it can make you feel very, I don't know, charged. I don't want to say powerful. It's not like, not like you're gonna, I don't know, knock down walls or anything. But it gives you just a kind of a surge of like you can deal with things. I think I just get into the emotion of the melody itself. I don't tend to have like imagery going in my mind, but I kind of just go into the piece itself. The airs, a lot of them originate actually from vocal melodies. Most of them do, except actually I think the one I played, the Coolin. But I think too, in some ways, the airs are related to singing. You know, I know from something that I'd watched and some things that I've read when I'd done some research on Irish music, that when there'd be somebody singing an air, more so in the past, people would like hold their hand as they did it. So I think there's just kind of a pure emotional, like it's a catharsis or something to kind of release. But I just kind of go into the tune itself and the notes and I don't know how to describe it. It's more like primal, I think, than visuals. My mother and I went to concerts, folk music concerts when I was a kid, of a Schooner Fair, kind of around the Massachusetts area. And you know, she tended to have like folk music type stuff on the radio. I'd always been more interested in listening to like vocal music, but there wasn't any real musical background on either side of my family. You know, there might be some relatives who might play guitar or something, but I don't come from a musical family, so it was kind of, when I think I took an interest in it, it was something she had to figure out how to hook me up, as it were. But I also had done some music lessons over at the Joy of Music in Worcester to recorder, so I'd been doing a little bit of music before I then went to this concert and then got interested in Irish music. I try to practice every day now. When I was younger, like many of the students teach them instruments to, my practicing was kind of all over the place because I was, you know, overwhelmed with schoolwork or this or that. But nowadays I try to practice regularly and more focused and kind of catch mistakes and just keep, you know, going over it and going over it. Reels are probably the most popular, and they can tend to get very fast-paced. Jigs are probably next, and hornpipes are kind of not played as much as the others, I think, but there's a lot of good hornpipes out there.